Once again, we are seeing domestic politics injected into foreign policy. The Taliban's quick takeover of provinces, Afghan security forces laying down their arms, and President Ghani's abrupt departure from the country he led, watching 20 years of effort crumble in only a matter of days, has made it all the more clear that we could no longer occupy Afghanistan, and that the President's decision to bring our troops home was the right one. And for me, as I closing this chapter of the U.S.-Afghanistan book is a difficult one. I voted to authorize the war back in 2001, after the terrorist attack on September the 11th. In the 20 years since, I've seen how this conflict cost the lives of countless Americans, Afghans, and our NATO partners. And what makes this all the more difficult is this is a war that should have ended 19 years ago with a different outcome. But our hubris, our own desire to remake Afghanistan, our own willingness to negotiate got in the way of that victory. These are hard truths, but only by examining these hard truths will we be able to understand what went wrong in Afghanistan. The task before us on this committee, one that I'm committed to making, will explore the past 20 years, but we'll be talking to individuals from the Bush administration, from the Obama administration, from the Trump administration, as well as the Biden administration. And I now recognize Mr. McCall for his opening statements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the Secretary also for agreeing to stay until every member has been heard. I believe every member has a right to ask questions on such an important topic. Over the last several weeks, we witnessed Afghanistan rapidly fall to the Taliban and the chaotic aftermath that followed. This did not have to happen. But the President refused to listen to his own generals and the intelligence community, who warned him precisely what would happen when we withdrew. This was an unmitigated disaster of epic proportions. I never thought in my lifetime that I would see an unconditional surrender to the Taliban. For weeks, our offices were flooded with requests to help people get out of Afghanistan. Requests that were coming to us because the State Department failed to provide help. And then the unimaginable happened. On August 26, 13 American servicemen and women were brutally murdered by ISIS-K trying to help American citizens and our Afghan partners escape from the Taliban. 2 days ago, we commemorated the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And while we mourn the loss of almost 3,000 innocent people, the Taliban at the same time celebrated by raising their flag over the presidential palace. Days before, they emblazoned their flag on the wall of our United States Embassy, proclaiming the defeat of the United States of America. Shockingly, the White House has described this Taliban regime as businesslike and professional. So let's meet a few of these professionals, the so-called new and improved Taliban. The acting Prime Minister, Mullah Hassan Akhund, one of the Taliban's founding leaders. He is also sanctioned by the United Nations and sheltered Osama bin Laden for years. The infamous members of the Taliban Five released from Guantanamo under the Obama administration also all hold senior positions in the new government. And finally, the worst, Acting Interior Minister Haqqani. He is responsible for overseeing policing and counterterrorism. He's also wanted by the FBI. He is the head of the brutal Haqqani network with close ties to Al-Qaeda and is currently sanctioned by the United States. Most of the new and improved Taliban leaders hold the same or similar positions they held prior to 9/11. And we are now at the mercy of the Taliban's reign of terror, all while a dark veil of Sharia law covers Afghanistan. The freedoms our troops help secure for Afghan women and girls have been stripped away in a matter of weeks. This, in my judgment, is not only disgraceful, it also dishonors the men and women who served our nation so bravely. Mr. Secretary, the American people don't like to lose, especially not to the terrorists. But that is exactly what has happened. This has emboldened the Taliban and our adversaries. The Taliban, a designated terrorist group, now equipped with American weapons than most countries in the world. Just a few weeks ago, thousands of terrorists, the worst of the worst, were all released from prisons as the Taliban overran the country. The situation we find ourselves in is far worse, in my judgment, as a former chairman of Homeland Security Committee, far worse than pre-9/11. To make matters worse, we abandoned Americans behind enemy lines. We left behind the interpreters who you, Mr. Secretary, and the President both promised to protect. I can summarize this in one word: betrayal. The America I know keeps its promises. The most important promise in our military is no man left behind, no one left behind. But you broke this promise. Unfortunately, it wasn't the only promise this administration broke. In April, President Biden promised, quote, "We will not conduct a hasty rush to the exit, and we will do it responsibly, deliberately, and safely." But that promise was broken. And then in July, the president said, quote, "There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof of the United States Embassy in Afghanistan." That promise was also broken. Our standing on the world stage has been greatly diminished. Our enemies no longer fear us, and our allies no longer trust us. And our Afghan veterans are questioning if their sacrifice was worth it. For those veterans who are watching this today, I have a message for you. Your service was not in vain. It is because of your heroism that we have not witnessed a large-scale attack by the terrorists since 9/11 in the last 20 years. And for that, I say to all of you, thank you. And so we are here today to better understand how this administration got it so wrong. And I hope you will directly answer our questions, Mr. Secretary, succinctly, because we have quite a few.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.